Live now on YouTube. You're all set.
Correct. Well, welcome everybody on Zoom and on YouTube to a regular meeting of the Waterville Valley Board of Selectmen, Wednesday, August 19th, 2020. We have a very full agenda today, but as you all know from being in these meetings before, the first thing I is to read the statement with respect to how this meeting will be conducted. As the chair of the Board of Selectmen, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as the result of the COVID-19 pandemic, in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12 pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, I am confirming that we are A, providing public access to you to the meeting by telephone with additional access possibilities by video and other electronic means. We are utilizing both Zoom and the YouTube live stream for this electronic meeting. All members of the board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through these platforms, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in the meeting, either by, Mark will be looking out for people that want to make a comment, or you can dial the following phone, 603-236-4730. And you can click on the following website address, which is www.watervillevalley.org, or you can text a comment or question to 603-254-6708. B, we are providing public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting. We previously gave notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing the meeting, including how to access the meeting using Zoom or telephonically. Instructions have also been provided on the website of Waterville Valley at www.watervillevalley.org. C, we are providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anybody has a problem, please call 603-236-4730 or email townofwv@watervillevalley.org. And we can adjourn the meeting if the public is unable to access this meeting. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Let's start the meeting by taking roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, please also state whether there is anyone in the room with you during the meeting, which is required under the right to know law. So this is Margaret Turner. I'm the chair of the Board of Selectmen, and I am alone at home.
This is Rich Rita. Hello, everybody. I am the vice chair, and I am alone.
Mike Aronson, home alone.
Much like Macaulay Culkin, Mike. Okay, so the first order of business, now that we've called things to order, is to open a public hearing on the Selectmen resolution wearing masks in Waterville Valley. This resolution was it was posted at the town website, Mark, right? Correct? And we also have a copy of it in our packet. So we are prepared to take any comments, questions on the proposed resolution from the Selectmen.
Hey, Margaret, don't you think we should read it to everyone? For people who didn't see it?
Thank you, Mike.
I can share the screen so people
that'll work.
follow along. Oh, wait a minute. As soon as Sharon re-enables participant screen sharing. You can get started, Margaret, and I'll share it as soon as I.
Okay, so this is Town of Waterville Valley, New Hampshire, a resolution of the Board of Selectmen, a resolution regarding the wearing of face coverings under certain conditions within the Town of Waterville Valley. Whereas COVID-19 can be spread from person to person before symptoms develop, and wearing a face covering along with social distancing, regular hand washing, and staying home when you are sick can help prevent the spread of COVID-19. Now, therefore, the Waterville Valley Board of Selectmen adopts the following resolution with regard to the wearing of face coverings in town. Everyone 10 years and older within the Town of Waterville Valley is expected to wear a mask when around people who are not household members, whether indoors or outdoors. Those with a medical condition, mental health condition, or disability that prevents wearing a mask, and those who are hearing impaired or communicating with individuals who are hearing impaired are exempt from this expectation. A mask is defined as a covering made of cloth, fabric, or other soft or permeable material without holes that covers only the nose and mouth and surrounding areas of the lower face. Masks may be factory made or handmade and improvised from ordinary household materials. Household items such as bandanas, towels, t-shirts, or any other cotton or linen fabric can be used to make a mask. If choosing to wear a cloth mask, it is recommended that they be made with at least 2 layers of fabric. By way of example, masks are expected to be worn when shopping at the grocery store or other retail establishment, when sitting close to others in outdoor areas. I made a little edit there, Mark.
Mhm.
When walking around your office, place of work when others are present, when riding in a vehicle with someone who is not a member of your household, such as riding the resort, transit system, shuttle bus, trolley, when driving in a work vehicle with other employees, etc. When standing in line at a store or other event, at restaurants unless seated. Anytime you cannot maintain proper social distancing, or you are around or interact with someone with whom you do not live. That was another edit on my part. Masks need to be worn while outdoors. Masks need not be worn while outdoors when able to maintain a distance of at least 6 feet from others, while exercising outdoors or when exercising indoors and able to maintain a 6-foot distance, when playing a sport or sporting activity, when at home with your only members of your household, when in your car or vehicle, when actively eating or drinking, or while seated and adequately spaced from others at a food establishment, see below for more detail, when getting a service that requires a temporary removal of a mask, such as during a dental exam, facial, makeup application, etc., when the removal of mask is necessary to confirm identity, when federal or state law prohibits wearing a mask or requires the removal of a mask, when requested by a law enforcement officer, medical provider, or emergency response personnel, when at your place of work, safely distanced from other people, for example, in your office. And number 5, this resolution goes into effect immediately upon its adoption and will remain in effect until October 28th, 2020, unless extended, rescinded, superseded, or amended. And then there are a number of frequently asked questions. So that is the resolution in its entirety, and we are in the public hearing, public comment part of this meeting. So we are looking to see if anyone has comments that they wish to give us.
Margaret, it's Nettie Colella.
Okay, Nettie.
Hi, I'm just wondering, the decision for 10 and above, what was the thought process behind that? for the age.
As far as I'm aware, that lines up with the CDC recommendation. Is that correct, Dave or Chris?
I think CDC is 2 and above. I can.
I'm not sure. I can look at that.
Okay. What is your recommendation, Nettie?
In our pediatric office and elsewhere, it's above the age of 2.
Okay.
So just because that's what they're, I think it's consistent with other places, but the recommendations have changed so many times, I'd have to look it up too.
Okay.
I think 10 is high.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else?
Just to make it whatever, the school, all students, regardless of age, are going to be wearing masks all the time, except for recess, lunch, and when we have designated mask breaks, when they will be separated by more than 7 feet. So I don't know where 10 comes from either.
So I just looked it up. It is 2 and above, over the age of 2.
Right. It is 2 and above.
Yeah.
I think
It's over the age of 2. Yeah.
this is Rich. I think we were trying to be consistent with the 9 other towns who have passed various versions of a mask resolution or a mask ordinance. 10 seemed to be a number that came up frequently, as I recall, in our review of the other towns. But we can certainly look at that again.
Yeah. I mean, I would just recommend as a physician to stick with the CDC recommendations if we were gonna do it. Other people in other states coming here, Massachusetts, all those places are used to above the age of 2. And clearly, I mean, not all 3-year-olds keep their mask on. I'll be honest with you. It depends on how the parents work with them. I see 3-year-olds in the office every day who have no problem keeping their mask on at all. So I just think that being consistent with an actual CDC recommendation instead of just what other towns in our area are doing might be kind of a more scientific way of doing it.
Okay. Thank you, Nettie. Anyone else have a comment?
Yes, I do. This is Tim Rose. There's been some recent reports about whether or not a bandana type mask is acceptable or not acceptable. And the conclusion of those studies was that it was not acceptable. I'm wondering if we need to think about that or just stick with what we described.
Yeah, Tim, I think you're referring to, I think there was at least one study that was done in Florida that said basically when somebody sneezed, if it was just a bandana hanging down, it would go right down below the bandana, correct?
I did not look up the study, so I don't know.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for that, Tim.
It's Mike Capel again. Speaking as someone on the school board, we made it so that all kids, beginning with kindergarten, are going to be wearing a mask while they're in school. All right, and because that goes along with all the CDC recommendations and all of the school board recommendations pretty much across the country.
And Mike, are you allowing bandanas?
We are looking at that, but what we have done is we also have a supply of masks at the school so that if someone comes in with a mask that we think is inappropriate, we will tell the child that very nicely and make sure that they wear a mask that we approve of.
Okay.
This study came out after we had initially done all of our things, and our last meeting we had so much to do and went so long. But my understanding in talking to the SAU is they are kind of going to come out and say that bandanas are not great, to put it nicely.
But they're better than nothing. right?
Well, that's, it's easy, Margaret, it's easy to say it's better than nothing. But if I'm sitting here and I'm saying a bandana doesn't really work, here's a mask. All right?
Mhm.
I mean, so let's think, well, let's not say better than nothing when we can stand there and if the town wants, I will go out and buy 50 masks out of my own pocket and have them available in town square. How's that? I mean, I mean, saying with bandanas are not the best thing. So
No, they're not.
so knowing they are not the best thing, knowing that you can buy a 3-layer cotton mask for $1 a piece or less, probably less if you buy them in bulk, whatever. You should have.
Well, because it is possible, and the reference in here is that it can be made from a bandana. And I have actually made masks. There are instructions on the CDC site about how to make a mask from a bandana or from a large.
Right, but it's no longer a bandana.
Right.
And it's no longer a cotton, whatever. It now
Right.
becomes a mask, not
Yes,
a
and
bandana.
that's basically what it says, is not that we are accepting.
Margaret, I'm not gonna fight with you.
Yeah, I'm just saying what it says.
Margaret, I'm not with you. It's not worth it.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
First, Margaret, I'd like to commend you on behalf of the wigwag for not ending a sentence with a preposition. I don't know if everyone picked up on that, but thank you. We try to uphold certain grammatical standards. I may have missed it. Was there anything in there that talked about what entailed covering of the face? Is covering the nose?
Yes.
That was mentioned there.
Yes, in point 2 of the resolution, it's defined as a covering made of cloth, fabric, or other soft or permeable material without holes that covers only the nose and mouth and surrounding areas of the lower face. The reference later on is that household items such as bandanas, towels, t-shirts, or any other cotton or linen fabric can be used to make a mask.
Okay, I was just concerned because wearing it below the nose seems to be fashionable or preferable to some people, and I was just wondering if that was called out. And the second thing, and it's a can of worms. I didn't hear the word enforcement involved at all, and I wasn't sure if that's something you want to even include in this, or if there was thought that will perhaps not be included in this into any sort of enforcement activities. Okay, that's all I have.
Okay, you are correct that enforcement is not mentioned. And what this resolution, in my mind, and my fellow selectmen can chime in here. In my mind, what this resolution says is that private property owners, and I don't care whether it's a residence or a business or a swimming pool or a golf course or that kind of thing, have the right to set up the rules that they want followed when people are in or on their property. The place where enforcement would come in beyond, for instance, the offending individual being told you need to wear a mask or you need to leave, would be in the case where the individual refused to leave or caused some kind of problem, at which point I think the police, and Dave, you can chime in on this too, have made it known to any of the business owners, if they have that kind of issue, they can call public safety, and public safety will come over and help them with the trespass on their property. Okay, so there's an existing law that says that if you don't want somebody on your property and you ask them to leave and they don't leave, they are trespassing and they can be arrested. Tell me, did I get that right, David?
Yes, that's correct, Margaret. So where the onus is like you said, in the businesses, they can create their own rules. And if the folks aren't following the rules, then they can certainly ask them to leave. And if they refuse to do so, that's when we come in.
Mike, you have
I have a question.
yeah, go ahead.
And again, I am not an attorney, so I excuse me for saying this, but does that mean that a private property owner can make their rules less than this, as well as more stringent than this? I guess that's a question for Dave, I guess. Somebody.
So every business has, through the executive orders, has been given guidelines to follow through the governor, which then follows even larger up from the CDC. So what this is they can be more restrictive than those restrictions, but they can't be any less restrictive than what's been passed through the state.
Okay, and basically what's been passed through the state is very similar to what we have here.
That's correct. It's very similar to what we're talking about here.
Yeah, okay, that's my understanding as well. Okay, thank you.
Just one other, so the idea is the police are not out enforcing the mask ordinance. They are out enforcing standing laws that may be broken by someone who is trespassing. So I think, and I'm in total agreement with this, that you don't want your police force out spending unnecessary time being babysitters for mask non-compliance. It wasn't a question, it was more of a
That's
comment.
my understanding. That's my understanding.
Anyone
That's
else?
correct. There's a little where they're trying to, when we get complaints for non-compliance, people not wearing masks, that sort of thing, what we're going to do is there's a certain responsibility from the property owners, the person in charge of the venue or the event. We're going to go to them and see if they can address those issues and not us directly, unless they've asked us to, where they've then addressed it and then there's become an issue with compliance. So we won't be directly stepping in for masks, but if they're for non-compliance, we're gonna put it onto either the business, the property owner, or the venue.
Any other questions, comments for the board?
This is Wendy Rathgable.
Great job.
Chime in briefly. Can you
Yeah,
hear
go
me?
ahead.
Go ahead,
Go
Mike.
ahead.
I just wanted to thank the board for all of this and tell you how much we really appreciate having this tool to be able to help us. You know, the businesses have all been kind of allowed to do what we want, but it's also put us in a position of being little enforcement officers in a way. So it really appreciate this tool for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Anyone else?
Margaret, in the future, would you consider changing the age and lowering the age in the future?
When we get out of the public hearing, the board is going to discuss the suggestions that we've had and, you know, some of the little tweaking we need to do with wordsmithing on this. So the future is very close. That we'll be talking about.
Thank you, guys. We really do appreciate everything you've done.
All right, thank you, Mike. Okay, so Mark, I think we're ready to close the public hearing, yes?
Okay,
Do we need a vote or we just,
no, you can just close the public hearing and then start discussion on it.
okay, Selectmen, discussion on the, on this. I think to be in concert with what the CDC is recommending, and also to make sure that we don't have any conflict with what's going on in the school, that we ought to say 2 years old and up. Does everybody agree with that?
This is Rich, I do.
Okay.
Mike, I agree as well.
Okay, and I had 2 other small suggestions. Mark, under point number 3, there, the second example of when masks should be worn, it said when sitting outdoors close to others in outdoor areas. I thought we could just say when sitting close to others in outdoor areas. We don't need 2 outdoors, okay? You're muted, Mark.
Got it.
Okay, and then, because Bill Powell complimented me because a preposition is not the correct word to end a sentence with, we want to say at the top of the last item under number 3, it's anytime, et cetera, you are around or interact with someone with whom you do not live.
Got it.
I'd like to add a couple of quick things before we end this.
Okay.
We worked on an FAQ sheet, which is
Yes.
frequently asked questions for people about what you're asking, as well as I think we need to continue with a way of communicating this to the public, where I think maybe the town should print some leaflets that are going to be given out at check-ins at hotels and wedding parties and things like that. You know, I don't know about big signage and things like that. That will probably help as well. But I think we need to give something to guests that are coming here, that are going to be here for a few days, to let them know what's expected and what we're asking.
Okay.
Mark, I would think that a very simple leaflet that has the actual resolution, you know, maybe on the first side it has the first 2 points, and on the other side it says when you wear a mask and when you don't, and how long is this in effect for. We may be able to do that on a small leaflet. And with respect to the frequently asked questions, I don't think we have to add 3 pages, but we may want to have several copies of them available at the places where people check in case somebody wants to consult them. And
Yeah, we can provide them to the businesses
right,
and maybe multiple copies to each business. Yeah.
right. But I don't think we have to give that to every single person that checks in. We just ought to make sure they have access to it in case they have a question at the front desk. The front desk can say, oh, well, let me look at our frequently asked questions. I think it's addressed in there. So, okay?
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Any other edits to the wording?
On the frequently asked questions,
Mm-hmm.
the first one, do I need to wear a mask while walking on the sidewalk? I think we need something else at the end. Well, no, you don't, but while it is recommended, you do not need to wear one if you can maintain 6 feet of separation from others.
Mm-hmm.
It just says maintain 6 feet, which I can maintain 5 feet 8 inches, so.
Right, got it.
And I think that was the only thing I saw in the frequently asked questions.
Rich, Michael, you okay with it?
This is Rich, yes.
All right, good.
Okay, so everyone that's on here also be aware it's going to be on the town website. So you will always have the ability to look at it there. So that
Yeah,
we
download it. You'll be able to download it. It'll be in PDF format.
Right. Okay, great. Thank you for everybody's help with that. And I think we need to take a vote on the resolution now, right, Mark?
Yep.
Okay, I move that we accept the resolution of the Board of Selectmen on the wearing of face coverings under certain conditions within the town of Waterville Valley. Do I have a second?
As
Hold a
amended.
second, Mike.
As amended.
Sorry, as amended.
As-
Yeah, as amended, thank you. And I had a second from Mike, and now we'll vote. Margaret says aye.
Rich, aye.
Mike, aye.
All right, great. All right, the next thing on our agenda is the COVID-19 update. Mark?
Yes, well, it was mostly with the adoption of the resolution. We have no known active cases at this point in time in town. We're doing very, very well, both at the local level and at the state level. We are, since last week, when it was put into force, we've been working with the resort on the implementation of the newest emergency order from the governor on the groups over 100. We had a couple of meetings when the order initially came out. And this past weekend, we had a couple of weddings and other events that were over the 100-person threshold, and public safety and the resort worked well with those. We didn't have any situations where there were any problems with that that I'm aware of. Dave, I don't know that there's really anything else at this point in time to update folks on.
No, I don't believe it. I believe you touched on it. We did work closely with the resort in working out, and I did review their reasonable accommodations for meeting the order, and it all looked pretty good.
Okay. Does the board have any questions or anything that you think we should be touching on? No, you good? That's all I would have under COVID-19 or privilege of the floor. Any comments?
Privilege of the floor is comments on anything that somebody would like to bring up for the selectmen to listen to.
Barry, you raising your hand?
You have to unmute yourself, Barry.
Go, there you go.
My understanding that we have a rather large group of hockey players coming in for the weekend. And I guess my question is, are we pretty assured that everything's going to be okay? Have we planned it well? Do we have any issues or concerns about them coming in?
I got an email that said they're not coming in this weekend.
Okay, Mike, hold on. You can't, hold on.
Oh,
We got
Ron, I'm not coming.
Okay, so Fred, you wanna handle that? There you go.
Operator error, yeah. Yes, we are prepared very well and know there is not a group coming. We're actually gonna probably be the most aggressive business in town this weekend in terms of taking precautions. We were setting up a medical tent, doing temperatures. We do online waivers. We're also going to be asking the questions recommended by the state and the CDC, such as, have you traveled internationally? Have you been sick? Have you know this? Everybody knows those questions, I think, pretty well by now. We literally, maybe 10 minutes before this meeting, the tournament came crumbling down, and it's a result of the business climate that we're in right now, where we are allowed to take teams according to the New Hampshire guidelines from outside of New England. However, we did not want to do that. And there was a team that was coming from New York that we eliminated last week that brought us from 10 to 9 teams. I became aware this morning that one of the teams that was the NS something, which is a very common nickname for North Shore. We get a lot of North Shore, Massachusetts teams. Became aware that that was actually more of a New Jersey team. So I had to pull the plug on that. In doing that, I found out there were a couple of other teams that had some players from other states outside New England. With that said, again, we are allowed to have teams from outside New England if you go online and read the governor's requirements and guidance. With that also said, you can go to the Union Leader or WMUR.com today, and you'll see the Attorney General is investigating the rinks at Exeter, New Hampshire, for violating the protocol and guidance in the state for 2 weeks ago, having teams from outside New England come in to their facility for a tournament. So there is no way that I'm going to be dealing with the Attorney General. I'd rather lose the money. So for the second week in a row, we have canceled our event at the last moment. And there will be some minor activity at the rink this weekend. That might be, I'd have to look at the schedule. There could be a goalie clinic from Laconia or a couple small things. But for the most part, it is canceled. There is no tournament, not for the most part. The tournament is canceled. Ironically, we had a lot of concern at the Zoom meeting the other day about people coming to Waterville Valley, and this is the line we're walking. And then the minute this meeting started, Tim Smith called me because he just got the email. And I said, hey, I gotta go because I'm on the Zoom with the Selectmen. And he said, I can't believe this. We have to cancel all these rooms. So this is the line we're walking. It's a tightrope. And I don't know that we are gonna stay on that tightrope, but that's where we are today. No tournament for this weekend.
Hey, thanks, Fred. Appreciate it. Did that answer your question, Barry? You all set?
Yep, I'm all set.
Okay.
May I make a comment, Margaret? This is Rich.
Yes, absolutely, go ahead.
I'd like to, for the record, just thank Fred and the Hockey Academy for all the efforts they've been making to try to run their business in this very difficult environment. They've really taken the bull by the horns from what I've read and what I've seen, and especially since I think it was a few weeks ago, the Hockey Academy was identified as needing to do more by others in the community. Fred, I am distressed that this did not work out for you, but I just want, for the record again, to say thank you for trying to run a business, an important business for the Valley, and trying to do it the right way.
Thank you. If I could just respond to that. One thing I did mention a few weeks ago in the community forum, and I mentioned it also at a smaller meeting in person we had with some of the local businesses, I think last Monday, is that we are going, and I knew this was going to happen. I didn't think it would happen right away. We are going to have situations where we have a team from Woburn, as an example, call us up and say, we've had a flare up in our school. We can't come. And we are not going to think about money. We are going to say, we understand you're getting your money back. And the hotels, and I've explained this up front, have to understand this is going to happen. And we could close up and call it a year and come back next year. We are choosing to fight on at this point, but everyone is going to have to be flexible because these things are going to continue to happen. And that's it.
John Racine.
Yes, Conservation Committee, I'd like to say something. Can we have privilege of the floor to speak to the select board?
Yeah.
Sure.
Here, would like to
All
speak to you. Go ahead.
Can I finish on Fred's topic
Oh,
first?
hold on, Eric, just a minute. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Ron.
I just want to reiterate what Rich has said, how the Academy, a lot of people don't see the effort that the Academy puts in behind the scenes to make this work for the town as well as they do. They go way beyond Call of Duty for this stuff. So I just want to get on the record as acknowledging that as well.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna move on from the hockey item to other privilege of the floor from the Conservation Commission. Go ahead, Eric.
All right, can you hear me okay?
Yes, gotcha.
So the Conservation Commission was concerned about the new construction going on at Golden Heights and Lost Pass Road, specifically the runoff and the drainage. So we first thought it affected wetlands, but after reviewing this with Rick Vanderpool, our ecosystem specialist, we found that the ditches and culverts are inadequate. They are
either too small or they're clogged, full of debris, etc. So I spoke with Jim Mayhew yesterday. He mentioned he was aware of this situation, that the developers first construct them, and then the town is responsible for its portions. So we would like extra eyes on this, since we've learned we are in a flood zone. And according to the NRI, the Natural Resource Inventory report, this runoff and drainage issue is a concern.
Okay. Thank you, Eric. Any other privilege of the floor?
I just want to thank everyone. It's Michael Pell. I have to go down and run the tennis social, but I want to thank all of you. And I'll do the I'll keep track of NCC and take notes from down at the tennis club.
Great.
Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate what you've done.
No bandanas at the club there, Mike.
Well, you know, I'm hobbling. I'm not playing. I'm going to make all the tennis players put on masks, though.
See you later.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Any other privilege of the floor? Non-agenda item. Okay. All right, Margaret.
We are up to review and approving the minutes from our last meeting. This meeting of July 15th. I had a few small edits, but let's start. Does anybody have anything before 112?
I have a few, I have a couple before 112. On line 12, I think it should be all, not both.
Right.
And line 106, just a spelling error, about. Unless we're doing it the Canadian way, I guess I can call it a boot.
106.
Oh.
And someday I'd love to have a conversation with Bill Powell. I agree with him. It grates on me. I think of nuns every time I hear a dangling preposition, but the English language is changing, and now many style manuals, I'm shuddering here, allow it. In language and in writing.
Right. On 112, Mark asked the board if they wanted to continue resuming in-person meetings in their August meeting, and they were in agreement. It didn't say what we were in agreement for. We were in agreement to continue electronically.
Right.
Okay. I have something on 132 is my next one. At the present time, the requirement for, it's not requirements, it's the requirement for the majority of the board to be on site at the polling location. The requirement is for the majority of the board to be on site at the polling location.
Excuse me.
And then on line 137, absentee ballot use will increase over past years. My next one's on 173.
I have a couple small ones before that.
Okay.
168, I think we need to add AT before select board, I think it was. Sorry, I don't have it in front of me. I just have my notes. Does that make sense?
Which number?
168.
168.
And on 168, 71, and 73, it should be Sununus without the apostrophe.
Without the apostrophe, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that's grammar mavens are having a good time now.
Yes. And A preposition is not the correct word to end a sentence with.
No argument.
Okay, I don't think I have, oh no, I have one way down on 240. Anybody have anything before that?
A couple quick ones on 189. Add the word to.
Made by Margaret Turner to authorize.
Yes, to authorize, I think delete the right after
Delete
that.
to authorize Mark Dakota to submit, yeah.
And 204, just remove the. There's another THE extra, I think, in there.
Yeah.
That's it.
And 240, Mark informed the board that thank you letters were received from many of the nonprofits organizations. Okay, so can I have a motion to accept the minutes as amended?
This is Rich. I make a motion to accept the minutes for the July 15th Select Board meeting as amended.
And this is Margaret. I will second. All those in favor? Margaret, aye.
Rich, aye.
Mike, aye.
All right, thanks, Mike.
Margaret, would you mind if we go out of order and do the renewable energy and the arena first, and then we can come back, because we got a lot of discussion if people have to leave.
Right. Where is the renewable energy? Oh, there it is. I see, under new business. Okay, so we're going to jump down to new business 8A, renewable energy on the agenda. And do we have Linda here?
Linda's here.
Okay.
Is it possible for me to share my screen?
I think I've given everybody the ability to, can you try it?
Share screen, there we go. Oh, I have host disabled.
All right, hold on just a sec, and I will.
All right, I don't want to hold this
How
up. I
about
know.
now?
Excellent. Can you see it?
I'm not seeing it right now.
Yes.
I am not. Yep, here we go.
Oh, there we are.
There you
Here
go.
we are. Okay, so the Renewable Energy Committee wanted to share what we've been working on, so everybody is aware. Our members are right here. Our main purpose is to bring cost savings through more energy efficiency to Waterville Valley. We're looking at, solar, LED bulbs, building weatherization, all the whole gamut. We're starting with the plan. I don't want to read all the bullet points here, but I just wanted to tell you how we're going about doing it. First, we're benchmarking our usage, looking at what kinds and how much energy we're using. We're identifying the growing community needs of the town, the businesses, and
to review town buildings, which will, hopefully we can roll into our expected capital improvements program, where they're finding new people and organizations to partner with. It's really been a good few months with them, and we'll come up with some hopefully smaller and usable projects for 2021 and beyond. But everybody's really cognizant of the fact that the financial situation is really unknown right now because of the pandemic, and they're going to be careful moving forward. So.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much, Linda. Any comments for Linda? Anybody want to join the committee?
We can use the help.
We should have a lot more volunteers now that we have a lot more people, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anybody who watches this later, just contact Town Hall.
We have plenty of opportunities.
With Linda and Kim, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, Mark, where do you want to jump to next to?
Ice Arena would be awesome. I
Okay.
think we're pretty well set on that.
All right.
Fred and John are with us.
we don't need a public hearing on this. We simply have to discuss whether we're ready to sign the ice arena lease agreement for the next 10 years.
The extension for the next 10 years.
For the
And
next
I do wanna highlight that the document that'll actually be signed will be just the extension document. So the lease agreement is going to stay the way it is from 2011, and then the amendment or the extension will go on top of that.
Okay.
So there won't be a whole new lease agreement document.
Right, okay. And that's also so people know this was actually approved back in 2011. Not only to lease to the hockey academy, but also it gave the selectmen the authority to extend the lease, to sell the property. And there are provisions that allow the lessee to purchase the property, and those have all been considered as we have gone forward with the lease. Anything else we need to do with that, Mark?
No, just any questions, Fred or John, any comments? Are you guys okay with everything?
Yeah, Mark, it's John.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're excited to move forward. You know, we've had a great relationship and partnership over the last 9 years, and we're really looking forward to continuing it with the Waterville Valley, and, you know, hopefully continue to contribute to the economy in the valley.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Well, that's great.
I would just like people to understand what's happening with the capital improvements, because I think that what we're doing is very beneficial for the town, maybe not beneficial to us, but maybe long-term it will be. We have decided to take on all of the capital improvements in the rink. Previously, it was set up so that the town would cover capital improvements over $15,000. So the town has indicated that they do not see it being very viable for them to do that for the next 10 years. So we have decided to take that on ourselves. And what's happening is it's going to come off the purchase price if and when we do select the purchase option. So for instance, this year, we've already done one improvement that was $46,000. We have a $75,000 improvement scheduled for later this fall for a chiller barrel. There are 2 chiller barrels in the facility. One has failed, and those came with the place, so they've outlived their usefulness. And if we walk away, we never recoup that money. So in effect, our long-term goal is to buy the facility, and we feel like we're making a huge concession to work with the town to eat those costs in the meantime, and we're happy to do it. The next couple of years will be painful in that any money we make would probably at best go back into the arena. And with the challenges this year, obviously that's even more of a concern. However, with the lease expiring in about a year, it was very difficult for us to go forward without knowing we had another 10 years. And I can't believe 10 years is 2031. Mark, when you said, or maybe somebody said it went back to 2011, I thought you made a mistake. Wait a minute, that was 10 years ago. It almost was. It's amazing. So we look forward to continuing. We are going to be a huge financial partner. It may pay off for us someday. And again, the long-term goal is that we would purchase the arena, but if not, we will leave it in good hands for the town whenever we leave. That's it.
Well, and appreciate that, Fred, and certainly it makes it a lot easier than going to town meeting every year that we need to do improvements, you know, so we can just do that between the academy and the Board of Selectmen as part of this agreement. So yeah, it is a very good setup for both parties.
Yeah. Alrighty, so Mark, what do we need? A vote from the Board of Selectmen?
A vote to adopt it and then just when we get a chance to have everybody sign it, that would be
Yep.
awesome.
Okay, so I am going to move that we adopt the first extension to lease purchase agreement between the town of Waterville Valley and the Waterville Valley Ice Arena LLC. And can I have a second on that?
This is Rich. I will second.
All right, now we'll take a vote. Margaret, I say aye.
Rich, aye.
Mike, aye.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. So we'll come into town hall to
I'll
sign
get
that.
it to you, John. I'll get a signed copy off to you, John, so you can sign it.
Okay.
We should
Sounds
come
good.
into town hall, right?
Yeah,
Mark?
and Selectmen, please come into town hall. There'll be several documents, hopefully, for you to sign.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Mark, to us, or?
I'll probably PDF it. Well, no, I'll drop it in the mail so we have an original signed by everybody.
Okay, do you want to sign 2 copies and we'll
Yeah,
return?
and then
Okay.
you, just return one.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, thank you, Fred. All right, where do you want to go next, Mark?
I think you can go back up and start going through, Margaret. I guess the rest of it's pretty much out for us.
All right. We do have elections down there. I didn't know whether Marilyn or somebody was on or,
I don't.
okay. All right. So the next item on the agenda is the financial report and the estimated revenue update for 2020 tax rate setting.
Yep.
So
So you,
this is what you just sent out to us today, right?
yes.
Yeah.
So there were 2 reports. There was the regular financial report. Now, I do want to note on that, I think I put it in my email to you, that these numbers are not adjusted. So all the percentages that you're looking at are based on not the MS 434 numbers that are in that other spreadsheet. They're on the numbers that we adjusted for COVID, right? On both the revenues and the expenditures. So
Hey,
if
I'm
we,
not sure I got a regular financial report.
it was in the last email I sent.
Oh, well, that's why I don't have it. Okay. Let me just look for it.
Let me see. I think I can share this with you, Margaret. I can share the screen and can you see that?
Hold on.
You can't?
Not at the moment, no. I got the revenue report,
Oh, wait a minute. Here it comes.
regular financial report.
How about now?
Yeah, now I see it.
Good.
And I didn't see that in my package. Did you guys get that?
Yeah.
I did, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
So what I'm talking about here, can you see my mouse?
Mm-hmm.
So these gray numbers are the COVID adjusted numbers.
Okay.
And same thing down here with the expenditures.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So these numbers under revenues do not reflect the recommended changes that are in the other spreadsheet.
Okay.
Okay, so if we meet next week, we'll update this sheet in total
Okay.
so that you can see everything adjusted.
Okay.
Because we've got to go down through, especially the expenditure numbers. We have to look what we've spent year to date, and we're waiting to hear back for the repairs on the lagoons as to whether or not, or how much that is. So,
Right.
Well, we also have to look at what we're gonna decide to do as well.
yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah,
my suggestion is let's table this and move it to next week so we can have a chance to digest these numbers instead
got
of
it.
coming up with 2 minutes, a short.
No, right. No, and my intent was to just give you these for right now, but basically based on the COVID adjusted numbers, which are worst case, we're doing fine.
Are we gonna have to make some other decisions about capital projects, given what's going on with well 2 and with the lagoon?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna discuss that in a special meeting sometime next week.
Yes.
Okay.
That was what I'm hoping.
Okay. Let's go on with department head reports.
All right. Dave, you want to start off in case you get called away?
Sure. We're just, like I said, we worked with the resort last week and, working with them with the governor's new order, in anticipation of the weddings. I heard all positive, feedback from, that attendance, and it looks like, they went off and, everybody, was cooperating very well with all of their restrictions. So we're just going to keep an eye on that stuff. As far the town continues to be visiting the weekends, the trailheads, a lot of the use area with the still having the hot days, the beaches and town squares and such. So, but overall, we're looking at getting back up to staff here and trying to get back to normal to be handle some of this call volume. So a number of search and rescues within the last. We've had 3 search and rescues. Actually, we're
You froze up, Dave.
These are very time consuming for us, very resource intensive, and can take several hours. We do get assistance from other towns and from the New Hampshire Fish and Game and the U.S. Forest Service, but it takes a lot of people. One carryout is minimum of 6 people. Ideal is 12, so they can swap out. Especially carrying in the high heat, we go, keep an eye out on our own members for that. But we've had a handful of those that can really tie us up when we have those. So really encouraging folks to be prepared, but we're seeing so many more people here that might not be accustomed to hiking in the forest and in our mountains. We're kind of seeing a little bit of an uptick of those.
All right.
Any other questions?
Any questions for Dave? All right, Sandra, give us an update for rec, please.
Okay.
Hey, welcome
So I'm sorry?
We're happy to have you here. Welcome to the meeting.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay, so we ended our summer camps and, movies in the park last week. It seemed, everyone left very happy. And, we were very successful in those programs. So we appreciate the opportunity to run them for sure. And parents and kids, counselors, everyone was very happy to have that opportunity this summer. I'm very grateful that their kids had the opportunity to do something in town. And so the tent and the porta potties have all been picked up. Those are gone off the field and around the playground. And so next we're moving into considerations for the fall and the after school program. We did put out a survey, I believe it went out last Wednesday, to the parents in the community, both in the school and families who are going to be here through at least the fall with their students remote learning. And we are compiling those surveys as they come in And we will sit down probably Monday or Tuesday to look at most of those results and see what the need is and what we are able to offer. And of course, what we are able to offer is also going to be dependent on the school's use of the building now that they have so many more students involved and where we will hold programming. So there's a lot of moving pieces that we are going to start putting together.
Sandra, any idea of the number of families that we have here that are educating online from away, so they're not necessarily residents of the town? But how many?
Yes. So far we've had, I not necessarily families, but about 10 to 12 children that are, so I don't know how that breaks down into families, but that's children of various age levels and grade levels.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and then our targeted areas were specifically in K through 2, and then grades 3 to 5 to see what the need is for the after school care there. And then also if students that are remote are interested in some sort of programming as well, whether it be an outdoor program or a hike or something here and there. So there's a lot of things coming in right now and a lot of things to look at. So we're excited to be thinking about what's possible there.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
If there's any other questions or.
Sandra, this is go ahead, Margaret.
No, go ahead, Rich. I can go after you.
Oh, okay, thank you. Have you heard about any discussions between the rec department and the school concerning the use of the rec department and sanitation and potential limitations on the use of the rec department spaces?
Right now, they're going to be utilizing the multi-purpose room for their, at least for their lunch. I haven't heard too much about their use of the space for classroom space, but I have heard
they are for
well.
classroom,
Yeah.
I believe as
Yeah.
well.
And then, I know that Wiley, the custodian, will be cleaning and sanitizing through the school section throughout the day. So I would assume that any programming that we do in the evening would fall on rec department staff to clean and sanitize after use, which is something that we grew accustomed to over the summer in between camp use of space and whatnot. And I do know that they're going to be using the gym for their PE programs. So I know that will affect us throughout the day. Because I don't know too much about their structure for the year, but I do know that they will have certain grades that are breaking apart from their 3 to 5, for example. I know the 5th grade will be doing something different than the rest of the students, and I don't know what that will be. What that will mean for us for gym usage and such throughout the day.
Yeah, I
That answer
just,
your question.
yeah.
I know.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
I think we're definitely going to need to plan for a pretty significant impact on our ability to offer anything during the day. And if we do an after-school program, it's going to probably be a single cohort, because I don't think we're going to have space to actually do programming for multiple ages. So I think we are going to be limited there. But all of this will have an impact on our expected revenues for the department, and just for programming, even the stuff we don't normally charge for. The regular daytime use, the department and the gym and things like that, I expect will be way down during the school year going forward.
Right.
Probably going to affect pickleball, right?
Oh, absolutely. The indoor pickleball, I don't pickleball, stationary bikes, the open gym, open gym, those sorts of programs that we have in the past been able to sneak in an hour or two here and there, or coordinate for right after or right before a school program, we're not gonna be able to do anymore. Not the way we have in the past.
Right, because the need to sanitize in
The need to
between.
sanitize, well, and just the entire question about masks in the building during the school day and everything else is going to impact all of our programming.
Right,
So,
okay.
Well, the school's opening in 11 days,
Yeah.
12 days, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you, Sandra.
thank you,
You're
Sandra.
welcome.
Jim,
Yes, ma'am.
Jim, the rest of the meeting is Jim's, by the way.
Yeah, where do you want to start?
You don't have to unmute, Jim. You can
Unmute.
just,
Go ahead and
no,
unmute.
you don't have to unmute.
we'll read your lips.
Just
Yeah.
shake your head.
Yeah.
Not
Is
much.
she gonna help you unmute? I'll get you.
Yeah.
I got it. I got it. How about now?
We all set?
Talk. No, you just muted him again.
At the same time. I'll let him do it.
You got it, Mark?
You broke it, Jim.
I didn't touch it.
Very cunning of him.
Wow. There you
Now.
go.
Are
There
we
you go.
back?
We're good.
We're all back. Yes, we
We
hear.
can hear you.
All right. Most people think I'm better muted anyways.
So not water related. How about we get an update on the other stuff first?
The other stuff, all the guys are fine. Equipment's going well. Attitude's good. I think the guys have been working pretty hard to get everything caught up as far as roadsides go and stuff. We still have a ways to go on a couple of different projects, especially out around River Road and West Branch. And other than that, Brad's doing a good job up on the transfer station, and that place, I don't know if any of you have been in there, but it looks a lot different. It's very neat, tidied, and we got some drainage up there straightened out, so make next winter a little easier. And other than that, I guess everything will be under new business.
Okay.
All right.
So do we just want to go over the meeting schedule before we get on to new business?
Yep.
So it looks like regular meetings, the 9th and the 23rd. And unless somebody wants to do something different, I would propose that those both be electronic.
You okay? You guys okay with that?
Yeah,
Because
sure.
we could do someplace else, depends, whatever you want to do.
Why don't we take it one meeting at a time?
Okay,
All right, Mike, that's a good idea. Okay, so definitely the 9th will be electronic, and then we'll decide whether the 23rd is electronic.
okay.
And we're all set up for elections, right, on the 8th?
Elections on the 8th are going to be at the gym. And you guys are all set with your schedule, right, for being there?
Yep.
The election officials, and I think probably Sharon can hear me, so jump in if I say anything wrong, but the election officials are working on balloting and voting setups and the polling places. So if there are any issues, I'll communicate that electronically with you. And we can always talk about it at the special meeting if we need to, if we're gonna have one.
Mark, can you just review? I know Rich had volunteered to be there all day on the 8th. What are the times for Mike and I?
I did not write them down last time.
Neither did I.
I don't think,
Karen, did you write them down?
I believe, Margaret, you said you like to do the end of the day.
Okay.
So, and you'd like to be there for the counting. That was my,
Yeah, okay, so it's the 4 hours at the end of the day, right?
yeah.
3 to 7.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Mike, you got the 4 hours starting at 11.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay. Glad we got that straightened out.
That's
Nobody,
great.
Sharon wrote it down. That's good.
Yes, Sharon knows.
I wrote down this.
Okay, so you want to just go down new business? Sandra, if there's any need for you to do anything else, and I'm not kicking you off, you're welcome to stay and listen, but I don't think there's anything else on here that is going to be specifically rec related. So if you drop off at any time, go ahead.
Okay, I do need to head out shortly to get the pickleball nets and stuff, so I'll head out. But thank you all so much for having me.
Okay.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yep.
Weren't we gonna have Sharon say something about the balloting? Or are we leaving that till later in the agenda?
You can do that before we get started because these are pretty detailed discussions here.
Right.
Margaret, what particular did you have in mind about balloting that I can answer?
Just that we have the thing that the Secretary of State sent out from New Hampshire.
Yep.
And I know one of the big concerns that our workers at the polls have has to do with what if somebody shows up and they don't want to wear a mask and they get very insistent about their right to vote. And I think one of the things that we can do is to encourage people who may not want to mask up in a building where a mask is required, is to get an absentee ballot.
Absolutely. Absentee ballots are available to anybody who is qualified to be a registered voter or who is a registered voter. And that application for an absentee ballot is right on the website if they want to print it from there, or they can come in to pick it up at the town office. We're more than willing to walk it out to their car if they don't want to come into the office even. They can request to register by absentee as well. So their options are there for folks that don't want to enter the polling location on election day. And an absentee ballot, just to be clear, an absentee ballot is separate and different than mail-in voting. An absentee ballot is something that the voter requests to receive. And there's been a lot of talk in the news of recent days about the differences. A mail-in voting is a mass mailing of ballots to anybody that appears on a voter registration list. We do not do that. New Hampshire does not do that. You have to request your absentee ballot, and then it will be mailed to you as the voter.
Right. And the other thing that's probably worth mentioning, because there's so much talk about the post office these days, is that when we mail ballots in Waterville Valley to Waterville Valley people, it basically goes through our post office. And so it's basically same day service in terms of when you put them in and when we put them back.
Yes, they stay right in Waterville. They never leave town and back. Yep.
Right. Okay. So that's a good thing for people to know. And I went ahead and requested an absentee ballot because I'm not going to be in town. Obviously, I will be in town, but it's a contingency for me in terms of if I get up that day and I'm feeling I don't want to be around a whole lot of people and I want to socially distance myself, I have the option of filling out my ballot and turning it in that day, I think before 1 o'clock, right? Before 1 o'clock, either at the polling place or at town hall, or at the post office where it will be postmarked before 1 o'clock, and that will take care of my voting. So to me, it's kind of contingency. So don't think that absentee ballots are only for people who are not going to be in town. This year, you can use your concern about COVID-19 as a reason to get an absentee ballot.
Yes, it is
And
listed as a.
We need to
Yep.
say that over and over again so that people know they don't have to go to the polling place if they don't want to go.
No.
So,
Yep, absolutely. COVID-19, the Secretary of State's office actually reworked the absentee ballot application to include COVID-19 as a reason to request a ballot. It wasn't there before, and they were telling folks to select that they have a disability or a work requirement or not another reason. But they have since included that as a separate reason unto itself. So you don't have to say otherwise. You can just indicate it's due to COVID and request your ballot.
And you need to request, just as a reminder, if I have it correctly, Sharon, you have to request it by 5 p.m. the day before. Is that correct?
Yes, there is, many states have a deadline when you have to request an absentee ballot from. New Hampshire has no deadline, with the exception of just 5 p.m. the day before the election. Granted, if someone comes into the office at 4:45 on that Monday afternoon and I can give them their absentee ballot right there. They can complete it and they can turn it and they can give it right back to me in a matter of a few minutes, and they have voted then. So.
Right. But if they wake up sick the next morning and don't want to go in, they cannot get an absentee ballot.
Correct.
They have to, if as a contingency, as Margaret was pointing out.
Exactly.
and also the absentee ballot request you put in right now is good for both elections, both the primary in September and the election in November. So you can select on there whether you want one or both.
Yes, that was
Yeah.
another change they did in the form to, so you can use one form for both elections. I remind people to include their party affiliation or which ballot they are selecting if they're an undeclared party affiliation for the state primary. I have had a couple of folks that have did not fill that in, and it's getting back in touch with them to let them know, ask them to complete the paperwork because it's incomplete.
Okay. All right, so that takes care of our election update as far as I know.
Yep, that's good.
Okay, so now we get on to all these things with Jim.
Jim,
Let's talk about the well number 2 project.
You want to walk us through it, Mark, or do you want me to do it?
go ahead.
Okay. Well, as you know, we've had a chemical feed pump failure in well 2, so it is now offline. And we are awaiting the replacement of a pump. It's what we're finding out, and today was new revelations as well. I mean, when you can't get a refrigerator for until October, one of my guys can't get a refrigerator till October. Chemical feed pumps are no longer off the shelf either, and so it's a 2 to 3 week lead time on that. But at any rate, we're all set for now with well 4. But having said that, getting into the condition in well 2, the main pipe, the chemical feed storage, the chemical feed distribution, the pumps, and just the overall condition of the place, mainly due to moisture and chemical. I mean, there is a little bit of chlorine gas that is present. Any chlorine or potash that gets on any of the equipment is corrosive. So even the air can be a little corrosive at times over time. So having said that, looking at those pictures that you saw, we sent that down to Joe Ducharme. We've had several discussions with him, and he sent us back the options that you have. The simplest thing to do, of course, would be to replace the chemical feed pump, and if we're going to do that, we should replace the antiquated chemical feed storage that those pumps utilize. That is the simplest and the least expensive way out of this. However, that does not address the degraded pipe and Parco valve, if you will, and other items in the system that should be replaced sooner than later. So option 2 includes all of that, which would get us with new piping outside of the building connected into the main distribution line, and would probably be the best thing to do at this time, seeing as how I don't think we have the appetite to spend all kinds of the money in option 1 in order to get into well 4, because that is in the upcoming, that's kind of planned for the upcoming well 3 connection with the river crossing and getting well 2 and 3 and 4 all together. So
timing it too, right,
timing,
Jim? Because it would take so long to do option 1.
correct.
No, we did get the money bonded by the town. It's not gonna be, we need to get pump 2 up and running, correct?
Correct. That
Yeah.
is correct. And
Yeah,
the sooner the better too, because, you know, under the present load conditions for our infrastructure, not only just wastewater and water, but it's also, you know, garbage collection and everything else. We need redundancy. We really do. And you're really gambling when you don't have that redundancy.
right. Jim, what does it mean on Joe Ducharme's letter when he says the surge valve and chemical feed pumps would be expendable when the full project is implemented? A cost of 25 to 30,000. Does that mean you use them, but when the full project goes in, they basically disappear?
Yes, that's
Yeah,
what that
I
means.
talked to Joe about that, Margaret, and
Okay.
there are a lot of systems that use those types of pumps. So even if we didn't reuse them, we can sell them. There will be some loss, but he feels we're not gonna use them a long time, so
Okay.
it would probably be half of that cost is what we could expect.
Okay.
To be sunk cost. And the whole thing with this is not, so if we did option 1, and when we turn the pumps back on, we have a failure in some other part of it, we're gonna be back to option 2 anyway. And that's why the recommendation to go immediately to option 2,
Right.
because of the
Timing, right? I mean, we can get the pump back up and running faster if we go with option 2, which is what we really need right now.
Well,
Well,
we can do option 1 and be up and running fairly quickly, right?
I mean, option 3.
I mean, option 3, yes, option 3. And be up and running, what'd you say, Jim, within 2, 3, 4 weeks, maybe,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Option 2 would take probably until December before it was completed, finished, time-wise. However, we run the risk by doing option 3 of having to do that anyway and doing more of the work in the winter.
Right.
And
And I'm also concerned about the employee safety, and it sounds like option 2 does some more things to address employee safety on the job there.
That's correct.
Better setup, yeah.
my question is, what if we don't get option 2 done by Christmas week? What if we have some delays, some snags? You mentioned that I had the same question you had, Margaret, about the expendability of these parts we're spending $20,000 or $30,000 on. Can we find some expendable parts from someone else right now? Where we can get, a Band-Aid in while we can sit and wait to get option 2 done properly and not run the risk of going into December, January with a major blowout happening?
We can look into, the various chemical feed pumps, see what's available, and maybe go with a less expensive upfront option to keep us running until the project is complete.
Yeah, I'm saying get the strongest Band-Aid we can instead of getting a full cast and full surgery if we're gonna tear it apart. But be sure of that will get us through our prime time in December, if we do have a prime time in December.
Well,
That would be
that's what I'm
option
saying,
two.
Mike, is if we committed to option 2 now,
Right.
we have the best chance of being finished before that December, January, February timeframe.
No, I've got you there, but I'm saying, is there a Band-Aid we can do now to get us through December in case it doesn't work?
No. If we did option 3, that's going to basically be the same system that we have right now with a new LMI pump. Right, Jim?
That's correct. What option 3 does is it's a partial Band-Aid on the problem that we saw. It does not take into consideration the deteriorated mechanical fixtures inside that we're all really worried about, because we've been anticipating connecting well 2 and well 3 for the last few years into pump house 4, but we keep getting a little bit delayed,
Right.
and right now
And
I
how-
am worried about it.
How did this rapid decrease in our equipment sneak up on us?
Just over time, Mike. It's just like,
Yeah, but
you know,
couldn't we have looked at this a year and a half ago and said this is
We
starting to
did.
go?
We did, Mike. That is what the $1 million was to address.
Yeah, no, I've got you, but I didn't see the pictures a year and a half ago of it looking like this, so I don't know if it did or not.
We did the walk around a year and a half ago, and if you compare what you guys saw when we walked into the building with what the pictures are, there's a lot more
corrosion,
degradation to.
That's what I'm asking about. How is it? You talked about this chlorine gas leaking. Is that something that has been accelerated and caused this? No, I'm just asking questions. I'm not pointing fingers.
What it may be just an explanation. Once steel starts to degrade, it accelerates over time. In other words, it might not be so bad for the first 10 years, but then you go to, how old is this well, Mark? Everything's original in it. So it was the 80s. So nothing has been changed since the 80s. Yeah. And it's just, a variety of factors that accelerate the degradation of the metals. And I really think that, I think option two is almost what we wanted to do when we were building Pump House 4, and we had the opportunity to run 2 into 4, but we did not want to spend the money at the time. But that gets us partway there.
Yeah, everything that we do, except for those couple of pieces of equipment that we outline in the memo, is work that is in the $1 million plan. The other part of this is we're looking at option 1. I wouldn't want to go that far right now and actually try to make the connection for 2 reasons. Number 1, we can't do it before next spring, right? So we would have to do option 3 anyway, because we'd have to fix the pumps. We wouldn't want to be just with well 4. And any money that we put into this will be subtracted from qualifying for the USDA or state grant monies. So we want to balance between spending as little money as we can, but making meaningful repairs. And so that's why we came up basically with option 2, because that is the minimum amount to address our safety concerns and get the pumps upgraded without taking off any more money than we have to for the total project cost. So, I mean, our preference, the safest way to do it and the most economical way and the repairs that have the longest payback or best payback for us is option 1. But we're not in a position where we could do that before the winter, and the trade-off there would be to have only well 4 for the entire winter, and that wouldn't be good. I mean, from an operational standpoint, I wouldn't want to take the chance. And the other thing that's driving a lot of this is if we knew that the end of October and November, even into, say, mid-December, was going to be a relatively slow period, then we could probably more comfortably go with option 3 because the system wouldn't be as stressed. But right now, we're producing water at a February vacation amount every day. And that's another thing, Mike, that's totally different than when we've ever talked about this before, is the use.
Oh, no, I get all that.
So
I'm just wondering where we're coming with the money.
Yeah.
The money has been authorized by town meeting. So we would have a contract, which, you know, we'd review with you guys.
Where are we pulling it from authorized for town meeting?
$1 million.
The $1 million bond.
We don't
Okay,
have the
no.
bond yet. We don't have the bond yet, but there was $1 million bond for it.
Oh, no, I've got it. But if we pull it out of there, how much are we gonna lose going ahead with our $1 million project if we take 200,000 out of it? How much of this work is going to be assignable to the big project? Meaning, are we putting 200,000 in here, and then we're gonna have to look for another 200,000 to do the real project?
No, just the 25 to 30,000 that he talks about.
You're talking about option 2, not option 1.
In option 2.
All right, no, I thought you were talking about option 1.
No, 2.
No, option 2.
Okay, no, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm fine with option 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
But
great.
but that 100,000 comes from the $1 million bond. And so what will be eligible to submit to USDA if we qualify will be 900,000 instead of $1 million. Okay, so if they give us 25% or whatever, that's going to be 25% of the 900,000, not of the $1 million.
All right, I've got you, but where I'm getting confused here is with this estimate option would cost from $75,000 to $100,000. Permitting, bid, and construction.
That's
90 to 120 days. The serve valve and chemical will be expendable when the fuel pump is done, about 25 to 30,000. So we're really talking 75 to 100. We're not talking 25.
That's correct. 75 to 100.
Right. So we're talking about going to RDA and all this instead of $1 million. We're borrowing 900.
900 to 925.
Right. Right. But the question is, when we go to do the project that we budgeted at $1 million,
right,
we're only going to be able to go to RDA for, 975 or so. Where are we going to come up with it at the end? And it's this 75 to 100 we're going here. Is it applicable to the end goal of hooking up well 2
Yes.
to well 4?
Yes, it is.
Okay, that's just my question.
Yep. Yep.
It's a lot of money and there should be a lot of questions.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem. I want to make sure we're explaining it to you.
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure we haven't spent 100 for something we're gonna throw away, like the pumps are expendable, but the man hours, design, digging and all that.
Yeah, all of the improvements other than that 25 to 30, of which we could get back at least half of it, right? So we're talking 10 to 12 and a half thousand dollars, right? That would be the only expendable money, Mike. So 10,000 to 12.5 is what we're projecting to be the expendable side. Which
No, meaning by expendable, you're saying the throwaway.
The throwaway.
We're gonna lose, it's gonna cost us 25, let's just be straight. It's gonna cost us 25 grand to do this. And we might have 2 used pumps we have to put on Craigslist.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, Mark, we're gonna do this because we didn't do the bond for the $1 million.
That's correct.
We're gonna do it with a bond anticipation note and go after the bond in January?
Yes.
No, is that how you're gonna be?
What we'll do is we'll do bond anticipation notes to get this done in the fall. And then we will get an answer from USDA during the fall as to whether or not we qualify. If we qualify, we'll hold on to the bond anticipation notes until the USDA loan closes, whenever that is.
How much, if we're talking, 75 to 100, how much are we sitting in undesignated fund balance?
Well, I don't want to touch that because of the tax rate stuff. Look, when we get into October, we can make a decision. We can pay off those bond anticipation notes before the end of the year if we want to use fund balance.
All right, let's talk about the options for paying for it later, but I'm saying we don't need to go out and borrow it if we're sitting on the cash.
Well,
and if we're sitting cash heavy. I don't know where we're sitting on, undesignated fund balance right now.
I would rather if we started this project in the next 3 weeks or so, I would ask for permission to get bond anticipation notes, whether we pay them back in 4 weeks or whether we pay them back in April of next year when the USDA loan closes, okay? I don't want to dip into our cash position because I don't know what collections are going to be in December. So I would.
Right, but historically, our collections for the first period were spectacular, correct?
They were.
Yeah.
I just.
All right, no, I understand what you're saying.
And the bond bank we know is going to do a bond sale in January. So if USDA tells us that we do not qualify for the grant loan program, we can close on the $1 million bond issue with the bond bank in January.
All right.
Because they are doing a sale for sure at that time. And their interest rates were very close to 1% on long-term notes. It's about 1.2 in their summer sale. So those are very good rates.
Okay, so any other questions, Rich or Mike? I mean, we all have lots of questions, but I think we need to get started on getting this repair done so we can get well 2 back in order. Do you need a vote from the board to do option 2, Mark?
That's what I would request, yes.
Okay, so with respect to the well 2 project, I would propose, I would move that we do option 2 as outlined to us today and discussed at this meeting. Can I have a second?
I'll second it. This is Rich.
All right.
Spit that out.
Margaret says aye.
Rich, aye.
Mike, aye.
Okay, thank you, guys. Do you have news on the Bethlehem landfill, Mark?
Yeah, Jim's been talking to Casella today. He's still working on the details, but the Bethlehem landfill, if it stopped taking our trash in April, they will still operate that facility. The plan is that they would still operate that facility as a transfer station, not as a landfill. Okay? Which is what they do down in Belmont, right, Jim? They're in an old landfill.
They have a facility in Belmont that receives their trucks for that are doing local collection.
Right, and so we're trying to find out if we could potentially continue to send our truck to Bethlehem and use it as a transfer station. The tipping fees would probably increase, and it would not just be more expensive than what we tip for right now. But at least we would not have to drive to Rochester and all of the attendant budgetary changes that would entail, staffing and everything else. So Jim's going to continue to work with them, and we'll try to get something in writing as soon as we can to either use the Bethlehem transfer station or the Belmont facility as a transfer station and go from there. But I think it's a much better option than what we were talking about with the planning board yesterday.
Well, and it may be that our size, the fact that we have so little, may help us with that negotiation.
If you remember, one of the places we were looking for single stream recycling was the Belmont transfer station. So they've already shown a willingness to let us use that facility for other things. So maybe we can get something in writing from them to be able to use it if we needed to. But that would save us a tremendous amount of money, even with increased fees.
Yeah.
Right, Jim?
Yes. Well, I'll just continue to reach out. I think probably the first of next month, at least after the public input period. That's August 25th, I believe. And we'll know a little bit more then, or we should know a little bit more then. And then I will reach out to NCES, which is Casella, and to see if we can, if in fact it does look like April of 2021 is the target date for closure, then maybe we can make other arrangements with them. We're under contract now. And there's one other option, which would be Witcher, but he's in Warren. But we'll see.
But we still need to write a letter, right, for the public comment. Are you going to work on that, Mark?
Yes, I will. And we'll also reach out to the Pemmy Baker Solid Waste District and see what's said at this North Country Council meeting that's going on right now.
Okay.
And integrate whatever comments come out of there into our letter.
Right.
And I'll distribute that electronically to the board so that you can review it and we can get final language before the 25th.
Okay. Mark, there's something that's not on the agenda that's in our packets. Signing that piece of paper about the Department of Revenue Administration's.
That's the PA 28.
Right, so when we come in to sign the arena thing, we should sign that as well.
Yes, and there's one other thing, which is the annual verification of the acreage of the White Mountain National Forest that you guys fill out every year, if you remember.
Okay.
So there'll be 3 things for you to sign.
All right. use of town.
Doesn't the chairman have to walk the perimeter of the valley?
Yes, actually, perambulation
Never mind.
We can do that by satellite now, Margaret, just.
Use of town facilities and services.
Yeah,
You sent us some spreadsheets.
Yeah, just to show you water and wastewater, and primarily the August numbers are where we're seeing the biggest changes. The drinking water production numbers, there are a lot more negatives in there than we were anticipating, but I think that is primarily from a reduction in our commercial use and from irrigation. So we're still looking at for the month of August, we're up almost 6.5% for water, and we're up about 17% for sewer. Part of the wastewater, Dylan, make sure I don't say anything wrong here. In the earlier months, I think the increases that we saw, we had a significant leak up at the base lodge or the ski area itself. And I think a lot of those changes were probably from the leak, because they do feed in to our sewer system. They've got a big holding tank up there, and the water goes into the holding tank. When it gets to a certain level, it comes down to the treatment facility. So I think those positive numbers that you see in February, March, April, and May are probably due to that. The numbers in August that we're seeing, we're still working on the difference between the water and the sewer percentage numbers. So I think that don't know yet what's causing that.
Okay.
Some of it can be infiltration, rainfall, or whatever, but I don't know exactly what's causing that difference.
Right. Right. Okay, and the motor vehicles, I didn't really understand this.
The thing I want to point out on the motor vehicles is we were projecting a significant decrease.
Yeah.
We actually, with the large number of new folks that we've seen come into the valley, we're now projecting that our numbers will be at or maybe even a little bit above our numbers from last year. So the new residents that we have coming in and the new registrations, we weren't anticipating that. So
I thought that was coming.
Those numbers have all caught up as of the end of July. So that's actually a positive thing. And
yeah, see, I think, Mark, when we first talked about the increase in residency and the registration numbers, we thought that things were still being done remotely and we couldn't do them.
Right.
So we thought we were losing that money, but once that turned around, I knew we would come up with additional revenue based on us being able to capture the revenue here as opposed to getting it back from Concord.
Right. And as of today, we've added 99 new residents to the residents list. And that's almost a 22% increase from January 1st. Now we did remove some people, right? Because people left or we had people who passed away, whatever it was. The net is 69. We've taken 30 people off, but most of those 99 people have been since April. The majority of those 99 people.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if I remember the numbers and Sharon, I don't know if I've got them exactly right. We were looking at, I believe, 10 to 12 people through March, and all of the rest of the 99 were since April.
Wow.
Yeah, Mark,
So-
we had just
Yeah.
2 people. It was only 2.
There was two. Okay, it was worse than I thought.
Yeah, there was 1 in
The
January
97.
and 1 in February, and then everybody else has been since about May 20th
Okay.
forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And am I reading this report correctly that we thought the budget was 125,000 on motor vehicle registration for this year?
yes,
And we collected 136 last year, 136 and change. And we think we're gonna go beyond that this year?
we may.
Okay,
I mean, just if the historical numbers keep up for the fall, definitely.
okay.
Yeah,
All
we,
right.
All of our commercial properties and leases come in December.
well, yeah, that's a question, what the mountain re-registers, that's a big question for the fall. But we're right on track. So that's a positive side on our revenues, because now if you look at that revised revenue number, instead of being down, what was it, 160,000 or so, we're looking at being only down 42,000.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep,
yeah.
good news.
So well, that's good news, but a lot of this stuff, the use of the facilities is just, it's constant now. And that just puts pressure on this old equipment that we've always projected was gonna last till we could replace it. And now it just, it tends to break faster.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the whole thing with the repairs at the dam, at the lagoons, that isn't, I mean, if we had had our normal usage, I truly believe that we would have gotten through. Those leaks may never have surfaced.
We haven't had any breathing space, Mark. That's
Huh?
our problem. We haven't had any breathing space.
Right, and I don't
Maybe we'll
foresee.
see. Let's see what it looks like middle of September. Let's see if things, you know, that's gonna give us a real indication. People are still here in the nirvana phase of being in Waterville.
Yeah,
Let's see who's gonna go back to work.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I would add too that not only in terms of operational costs and maintenance, increased maintenance costs and minor repair, but also since we're now looking at 500 plus residents, it does raise the question of personnel costs. Are we right sized for the number of people who now live in the town? And now we're
Right.
talking real money, right?
Right. Now, do we have enough public safety people?
Exactly.
To address all the concerns that our citizens are coming up with. Do we have enough, you know? Are we gonna have
Public Works.
model?
Yeah, the public works, the municipal services stuff of water and sewer, we've got 3 people to run. And we used to be able to go through these surges where we could count on people working more hours for a short period of time. And then we'd have a rest and a recovery phase. They could do maintenance, you know, we could work in vacations and all of that sort of stuff. But when you're at that higher level, you can't do that. So,
Right.
you know, that's gonna be a major piece of the budget discussion for 21.
Yeah. Okay, and now something that will add even more to our tax bill.
There's
Yeah, I
more.
got a question for Rick.
I read that article that you circulated to us, Rich, about education funding. I don't understand any.
Yeah, well, that makes 2 of us.
I
Someone could explain it to me.
Well, I'm hopeful that I read it incorrectly, because what I read was that the proposal was for a $12 per
Yeah.
thousand flat fee for education. And,
But that made no sense.
well, I know, but if that is gonna be entertained, oh my word, we're talking about almost our entire tax rate.
Yes,
We will double without a question.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, I tried to get that and that's why I called you the other day. We spoke about this.
yeah,
To get this, it just, I don't know. The problem is we need to write the strong letter, hope our lobbyists are as good as their lobbyists, and be at the mercy of common sense.
yeah, no, that was, I will, Rich was working on other things, but I need to talk to the coalition people about how to read that article. So I hope I'll have an explanation for you next week.
okay.
All right.
But they want comments, right, by the 25th? Is that their public comment session?
Yes, once I talk to the coalition folks, we'll try to draft something for you to consider.
Yeah, and then probably both us and the school board.
School board.
Yeah,
Because they're gonna be under, tremendous pressure. Well, they already are, they've gone up to, could be as many as 55, they're now saying. They're at
Well,
40.
it's probably 50, as of today, it's 51.
Uh-huh. And they have a responsibility to educate these children. I mean, the good news is probably our rate per child has gone down.
Right.
We have so
Well,
many.
Yeah.
And
But
thankfully, no high schoolers.
this
Extra.
$12 thing, we'd only be keeping money from $2 of that. We'd be sending $10 per thousand to Concord.
Uh-huh.
It would be ludicrous.
And then we'd have to raise that 10 in order to cover operations in total locally, right?
Oh, yeah, we would
Yeah.
go from 14 to 26.
24 or
Well, no,
something.
26.
Yeah.
No, that, we can't do that.
Right.
No one's gonna be able to live here.
Right.
Or our property values are gonna drop through the floor.
Yeah.
And the basement and the center of the earth.
Yeah. Okay, so you're gonna work on that some more?
Yes. Yep.
Do we have a motion to accept the money back from Primex?
Yeah, that money is in the miscellaneous revenue
Okay.
item right now in the report that we gave you.
They're no longer our carrier, are they?
No, but they were last year, and this is a return from the 19 premiums.
All right. So can I have a motion to accept the $9,324.58 from?
I will happily make that motion.
Can I have a second?
I will happily second it.
Okay, and we'll have a vote. Margaret says aye.
Rich, aye.
Okay.
Okay. All righty. I think we have finally made it to board concerns and directives.
Two pieces of correspondence for you before that, Margaret.
Okay.
So we do have an email from Terry Waite that Alyssa Walker has resigned. So the supervisors of the checklist are responsible for replacing. So we're working with the Jean to see if we can find.
I think she might have found somebody.
Okay. Did you volunteer, Mike?
No. No, she might have caught a recently retired person that lives in my house.
Oh, good.
At a weak moment, so she's gonna get back to Jean by the weekend.
Nice, good. Well, that's good news. I just wanted to make you aware of it. So the two elections will be challenging to say the least.
Yes.
I'm more concerned about Jean getting cleaned out than anything else, because she does so.
She does so much for it.
Between Jean and Sharon, we couldn't have an election without the two of them.
Right.
So.
Okay. Any other correspondence to be dealt with?
Nope, I'm all set. I think I said I had to. Oh, and then Rich's. End of that.
Oh, you know, something we should discuss. This is the email from Eric Levy on perhaps raising the fees for the waste disposal for trash. And I think that's something we should consider when we look at setting up rate.
Rich, we have considered this in the past, and there is a good reason to do that. If we roll the trash fee into the tax rate, it becomes deductible for homeowners.
Okay.
Whereas it has not been as a fee before. So we looked at it a few years ago, and we thought because of the $15, it wasn't that much, but it's definitely worth looking at.
Especially if we up it, yeah.
We should at least have a discussion about it so people understand why.
Exactly.
It's the tax rate instead of, because I don't think we've raised those fees in a while, have we, Mark?
Well, we didn't have them set before. We only put them into effect for probably 5 or 6 years ago, the $15 fee.
Yeah.
We hadn't had them before that.
Right. Well, yes, we did, Mike. We did it by the tip of the dumpsters. So,
but it wasn't for single family houses and places like that.
That's right. Those
it wasn't
people
for
are not
everybody.
paying anything. Right.
Okay. Let's see. If there aren't any more board concerns and directives for the public meeting, we need to go into our non-public session.
Yeah, we have 3 personnel matters and a legal issue.
I will be back in 1 minute.
Okay. So do I take a vote to go into non-public? I move that we move to non-public session to discuss personnel and legal matters.
This is Rich, I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
I was glad he did that. I had one of those embarrassing Zoom moments. Moments, not movements. I had to read